Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Nitin, and in this video I would be covering some of the variations of some advanced variations of CO Eratosthenes. So in yesterday's video we saw how we can use leverage C of Eratosthenes for checking if ith number is prime or not. So let's say if you want to check if ith number is prime or not, then we can simply check C of I value. And if it is 1, then means it is a prime number, and if it is 0, then it means it is not a prime number, which means it's a composite number. So that was the thing that we had discussed till yesterday. Now let's see, there is one variation of sieve. So let's say yesterday we saw that every number n can be represented as product of some powers of prime numbers. So let's say p1 is one prime number raised power q1 into p2 raised power q2 up to, let's say, there are n prime k prime numbers and q. So let's say first variation is for every number I want the smallest number, smallest prime factor of n. So let's say if I am given any number n, then let's say p1 is the smallest prime number, then p2 is the next small, and up to there are k prime numbers, then I want the smallest prime factor of this number, which is p1 in this case. Okay, so how we would be going about it? So let's say let's analyze how let's say this is sieve which stores and let's say we are in it, let's say for now let's say we have initialized sieve of I as I. So let's say this is 0th index, this is first index, 2th index, third, second index, fourth index, fifth index, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, and 11th, and there are other indexes as well. So let's say I would be initializing C of I as I. So let's say this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and up to let's say 10 raised to power 6 we want to find. So let's say what I would be doing is I would be going for each I, and if I is prime number, what does it mean? If I is prime number, then the smallest prime number which if let's say p is prime number, then what is the smallest prime number which what is the smallest prime factor of p? It has only two factor, p comma 1, and which one is obviously not a prime number. So p is the first, the smallest prime factor of p. So if let's say if we are processing ith element, and if the sieve of I is I, which means this I is a prime number, because this is I is the smallest number, like there is no number smaller than I which there is no smaller prime number which is smaller than I which can divide I. There is no such number, so that's why sieve of I becomes I. So in this case what we would be doing is I would be iterating over all of its multiples, and I would be setting, let's say if I am going all of its multiple, let's say I went to 2i, 3i, 4i, all of its multiple, and now I is a prime number, right? So I would be marking indexes. Let's say sieve of 2i would be I, I would be marking the numbers corresponding to these indices. 3i should be I, 4i should like this. So what I would be doing is, let's say 4 int j is equal to I into y, j plus equal to I. So in this case, sieve of j I will be setting as I, right? But there is one thing we need to make sure is, let's say we need to set this only if sieve of j is not equal to sieve of j. If it is equal to j, then only we need to set, because we haven't set any number till now, and I is the first prime number. But in case, let's say there is some prime number smaller than I, which let's say which could have marked j, and that would have been the prime factor for j. So in this case, if that value is already initialized, then I is let's say greater than that number. So in we should not be marking as sieve of j as I in that case. So what I am saying is, we should be checking if sieve of j, it should, if it is equal to j, which means we haven't found any prime number smaller than I which divides j, right? So I is the first the smallest prime number, so we would be setting sieve of j as I, because I is the smallest prime number which it divides, and in next iteration whenever somebody visits j again, so the value is set to I, right? So in that case we would not be setting it again. So this condition will make sure that we don't set sieve of j again. So and let's analyze this case, whether should we start from 2i or j cross j, I cross, right? So let's say all the multiples of 2 would have been the smallest, and there is no way we would be setting for I, because it would be 2 only. 3 and all the smaller numbers lesser than I, all the smaller numbers lesser than I, which are prime numbers, would have marked their multiples. So let's say 2i would have been marked, 3i would have been marked, 5i would have been marked by 5. So when we are iterating on I, so all the prime numbers smaller than I would have been already marked. So what's the next the first number which we should mark is I into I, right? Because I minus I into I minus 1 would have been let's say a last prime, I into the last prime number smaller than I would have marked by this number itself. So I into I is the first number which we should be marking in this iteration, and we would be going till all the numbers till n, and we would be doing j plus equal to I. So we are iterating I step, like we are moving I step in every step. So this is the first variation of sieve of Eratosthenes, where we are finding the smallest prime factor of a number. Smallest prime factor. So let's say if we are interested in finding the smallest prime factor of, let's say k of p, then we simply need to check sieve of p, and we will be able to find the smallest prime factor of a number in constant time of 1 axis. The only time required is to build this sieve, so which is order of n log of log n. So in case n is of the order 10 to the power 6, then in one go, nearly taking 1 second, we would be able to build this, and then further processing, further querying would be single of one like constant axis pattern. So So this is one of the first variation of sieve of Eratosthenes, which is to find the smallest prime factor of a number. Let's discuss the second variation. The second variant, what should I think is, should I, let's say, the sum of all prime factors. So let's say we have n number n, and then it has prime factors as p1 raised to power q1, p2 raised to power q2, p3 raised to power q3, and up to n, pn raised to power qn, let's say k, this is k. So I want to find p1 plus p2 plus p3 up to pk, which what that means is sum of all prime numbers, sum of all prime factors of a number. So let's say what we should be doing is, let's say again we created this sieve array. So again, first thing we know is what would be the sum of all prime numbers. Let's say when if p is prime, then what should be the value of this function. So what are all the prime numbers which divide p? It's p only, right? And its sum with let's say p should be the sum. So let's say we initialize every index with its value. So let's say this 0th index we initialize it with 0. This is first index, we initialize with first. This is 2. Second index I initialize with 3, then 3. Then fourth index should be initialized with 4. Fifth index should be initialized with 5, and then sixth index should be initialized with 6. 7 with 7, 8 with 8, 9 with 9, 10th index with 10 value, 11 index with 11, and so on. So let's say I am iterating I from 1 to root n, for example, let's say like this. And let's say if I am standing at particular I, which means sieve of I would be checking, and if it is equal to I, then what this statement means is this I is a prime number, right? So in that case I would be iterating for all the multiples of it, int j, moving from, let's say in this case we would be moving from 2i, right? Because 2i has let's say j, every j has I as its multiple, so I need to be added to all of them. So let's say we need to from, if j is as I, then its value should be I, but in case of 2i, 3i, and up to n, j plus I plus equal to I. So I am iterating over all those j indices which are multiples of I. So what I should be doing is um, hmm, or let's say something like let's say we started from I only. Let's say we started from each I, we moved it, and then we added, let's say, c of j, the value I is a prime number and is factor of j, so we added it. So let's say we simply did this, and let's say something like this we did, and let's analyze what would be happening. Let's say for each I, let's say initially this is the configuration, then we started from, let's say, 1, we moved to all its multiple. This is not a prime number, so we will be starting from this number. Let's say AC of I is I, and in this case I would be going from, I would be incrementing 2 in all of its multiples. So now this value would be 4, now this value would be 6, now this value would be 8, now this value would be 10, now this value should be 12, this should be 14, this should be 16, right? So let's move for 3, again doing the same thing. 6, this would be 11, this would be 12, this would be 17, right? And so when we go to 4, then it's not a prime number, we would be skipping it. When we go to 5, what we would be doing is, let's say for all of its multiple, first one is 5, so we would be incrementing as 5, then I would be going for 10, and I would be incrementing as 7, and then I would be incrementing 15, something like that. So we won't be checking that. So this is how we did for 5, and then the next prime number would be 14, and then 14, and it would be 23. So these are not prime numbers, and now it would be 22, no multiple, and 13, 26. So by doing this, what I did is, let's say for every prime number, I did it from itself to all of its multiples, and what I did is, I just incremented I in all of them. So let's say whatever number was the composite number, because it's a multiple of I, so that composite number now contains sum of all of its prime factors as well as itself, that number, because it was initialized originally with that number, right? So we at last we would be subtracting that number itself. So let's say we would be sum of I, see, at last for I would be iterating from I to n, and I would be doing sieve of I minus equal to I, or simply if in case we have initialized it with 0 values. So let's say what would have been the case. Let's say if everybody is initialized with 0, and if this number itself is 0, then it assumes that there is no prime number, which was able to mark it as which was able to increment its value, because then it means a prime number. So in case sieve of I is equal to 0, then it means I is a prime number, and then we would be starting from I itself, I, 2i, 3i, would be incrementing I. So in every multiple we would be incrementing I. So this being the first prime number, I would be incremented from 0, its value would be increased to I, which is correct. Like C of I ideally should be I. This, by following this approach, we would be able to find the sum of all the prime factors of a number. So the number can be prime or composite. We are given a number which could either be prime or composite, and we are interested in finding the sum of all prime factors of it. So as we already discussed in yesterday's lecture, every number, be it prime or composite, can be expressed as product of prime factors. So it would be having some prime factors raised to power some power. So in that case, I am finding out, let's say, if that number contains p1, p2, p3 and all, let's say pk till pk, these are the prime factors of that number. I want to find out the sum of all those. So p1 plus p2 plus p3 up to pk should be stored at c of n. So what c of n should be storing? p1 plus p2 plus p3 sigma p I1 to k, sum of all prime factors of that number. This is the second variation. Now there is one more variation. There is one more variation called Euler-Tauschent function. So let's say we are finding, let's say we are given any positive integer n, and what the definition of Euler's tauschent function is. We are exploring all the numbers from 1 to n minus 1, and there is this I. So we are pairing n with each of these possible numbers. So and finding GCD of those two numbers. Let's say I is iterating from this 1 to n minus 1, and another number is I, and if it is 1, then we would be counting that I. So effectively, Euler's tauschent function means the number for a particular number n, means the number of integers in the range 1 to n minus 1 whose GCD with that number is 1, right? Let's say we are taking 8 as a number, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 is not included, and we are taking GCD with all these numbers. So 1 would always be 1, then this would not, this would be 3, would be the GCD of 3, and 8 would be 1. For with 4 GCD would be 4, it would not be 1, so we would be skipping it. With 5 it would be GCD would be 1, with this it would be 2, with 7 GCD would be 1. So with 7, so these are the 4 numbers. So the number of integers in the range 1 n minus 1 whose GCD with n is 1, that count is called tauschent, which is denoted by phi of n. So in this case, 5 of 8 would be 4, right? So let's say we are given a prime number, right, p. So what would be Euler's tauschent function of that? So let's say there is 1 2 3 4 5 up to p minus 1, right? So how many numbers, so let's say would be, let's say with 1 it would be GCD would be 1, with 2 it would be, because p is a prime number, it does not have any factor in this range, right, except 1, and even with 1 the GCD is 1. So all the numbers, effectively all the numbers from 1 to p minus 1 are, let's say with all of these numbers, or with all of these numbers the GCD is 1, right? So these are p minus 1 numbers. So phi of p is p minus 1 for prime numbers, because with all numbers in that range GCD is 1. So this is one of the observation we could make, right? This is about Euler's tauschent function, and now there is one formula how we can calculate Euler's tauschent function. And then so let's say if we are finding Euler's tauschent function of any number n, as we already discussed, n could be expressed as product of prime numbers p1 raised to power q1, p2 raised to power q2, p3 raised to power q3 up to, let's say there are k prime factors, p power q, right? So in this case there is one property of this, so the phi of n in this case would be n into 1 minus 1 by p1, 1 minus 1 by p2, pk. This is a property of n, and by using this property we would be calculating phi of n. So let's say again the brute force approach for calculating phi of n, we would be, let's say using sieve we would be finding p1 p2 pk, right? And then we would be calculating this, which is order of log n log n. So if we have to find let's say in most of the problems we need to find phi of n quickly, right? Because we might be using it, let's say we want to calculate phi of n multiple times. So if we are querying it q times, then or the time taken would be O of n into q. And if these are high, let's say these are in the range 10 to the power 6, then this solution is not acceptable. So we again need an efficient solution for finding phi of n, let's say some log n or O of 1 solution where we would be quickly able to find the phi of n for any number. So let's say this is let's use this formula and calculate the phi of n. So let's say similarly in sieve we took let's say for every index we initialize it with that number itself. So let's say first 0th index is initialized with 0 value, first one with first, second index with second, third with third, fourth with fourth, fifth index value is fifth, 6 6 7 7 8 8 9 9 10 10 11 11 12 12 13 13 12 and so on. So okay, this is the case. So let's say we are iterating over all of I. So let's say every number. So what we will be doing is let's say we are iterating till I, right? So let's say using sieve we usually iterate over all of its multiple. So let's say if p1 is multiple, then let's say if we are iterating over all of its multiple, then it will hit n, because p1 is a multiple of n. So, using similar sieve logic, we would be, let's say for every prime number we would be hitting let's say we would be hitting its multiple. So let's say at one point and we would be able to hit n, right? So we would be using some modified sieve logic. So let's say we are iterating from 1 to n or something, and then if sieve of I is I, which means, what does it mean? Let's say there was no prime number in the range 1 to I, let's say I minus 1, which modified the C value. So I by default becomes a prime number, and if it is a prime number, what we need to do is we need to move to its multiples. So let's say j is equal to I and j plus equal to I. In this case we would be moving from I, because we need to modify this value, because for sieve of I it should be I minus 1. What we would be doing is, because we already have the ith value contains n, right? This value we have already initialized, so all of its prime factors we should be multiplying with this factor. So let's say 1 minus 1 by p, and let's say this would always be a natural number, because the n contains factor of p1, right? So it would be cancelled by p1. Let's say it would be having some factors of p1, and because p1 is a multiple of n, p1 is a factor of n, so it would be containing some values with power p1 raised to power q1. So this term would be cancelled by this, so the value would always be whole number. So let's say we iterated from I to n, and we iterated all of its multiples of I, then we what we did is C of j is equal to C of j into 1 minus 1 by I. C of j already contained the number itself, and then let's say for that number all of its prime factors were multiplied. Let's say I was prime factor of it, and then let's say k was also prime factor. Then let's say when I becomes k, then C of j would be multiplied by this value. So at the end C of j should be j into 1 minus 1 by I into 1 minus 1 by k. So all of its prime factors have already been multiplied, and when I j, then let's say C of j is I and I into I minus 1, which is I minus 1. So C of j C of j is C of I is also I minus 1, which is correct, because the C not C, the phi value, the phi of n is n minus 1 in case n is a prime number, right? And this is the value which is showing this. Okay, so now let's move to the last concept, which is segmented sieve. So let's say till now what we were doing is we were finding prime numbers in this range 1 to n, right? And we created an array where ith number was represented at ith index. So this number, the array was in the range 10 to the power 6, which was let's say there was no issue with this approach. But in the case we want to find prime factors, prime numbers in this range L to R, and L itself is 10 to the power 12, let's say something, and R is 10 to the power 6. But there is one constant given here, L minus R is in this range 10 to the power 6. So there is, let's say L is used, R is used, but their difference, let's say they are very close. So there is their difference is not more than 10 to the power 6. So in those cases, how we would be computing the sieve value is, let's say we again we can't create array which size, whose size is more than 10 to the power 6, right? So let's say we created 10 to the power 6 array, and let's say the sieve of I represents is right. Sieve of G first index represents is L a prime number, sieve of 1 L plus 1 is a prime number, and last value is R minus L, the value of this array, like this is first index, second index, third index, fourth index, up to R minus L plus 1, let's say 1 4, right? So in this case so sieve of R minus L will represent sieve of R is prime of R is prime of, let's say, R minus L plus L, so is prime of R. So if R index is ranging from 0 to R minus L, R numbers are ranging from L to R, right? So we should be using this concept. So how we would be initializing is, so let's say like this we are iterating like in the normal sieve value I is equal to 2, let's say, till how let's say if this is R, let's say, and this is 1, so somewhere it is L. So what's the maximum prime number we need to check, right? It should be root R, right? It should be root R. Let's say we would not be able to find any prime. Let's say if we have iterated in this range 0 to root R, and any number didn't have any prime factor, let's say there was no factor of that number, then it's a prime number for sure. So first thing, how we would be editing, we would be editing from, let's say, 2 to root r. So I into r should be less than r, and r is this order 10 raised to power 12, then I would go till, let's say, 10 raised to power 6, which is let's say we would be able to compute in a second, and then I plus plus, and then usually we will check if it's I is a prime number. So there are two approaches here. So let's say either we could store all the prime numbers in 0 to 10 raised to power 6, 1 to 10 raised to power 6 using the normal sieve, and then if that let's say we are checking if this I is a prime number using this sieve in order of one time, or let's say this is the most optimized approach. So if this number is a prime number, using normal sieve you would be able to check, let's say normal sieve, right, we would be able to check that, and right we check its multiple root r, what I was saying is till root r, let's say till 10 raised to power 6, we have pre-computed the prime factors, prime numbers using some normal sieve without segmentation, and now using that sieve we just checked if I is a prime number or not in one time. If it is a prime number, then we need to mark all of its multiple as prime. So now should it be moving from j into I into I, like j should be moving from I into I, because let's say this is I at somewhere, and then I into I would be something like this, but we already need to write it on this range only, right? So what we need to do is we need to find the first index which is a multiple of I, right, which lies in this range. So let's say L by I into I plus I, this is a seal value, and let's say if L is not properly divisible by I, then it would lie somewhere near this, and then we incremented I just to make sure it's a just smaller index, like the just bigger index than L, which is a multiple of I. We reach this index in one time, and then all of its multiples, let's say this is x index, x plus I, x plus 2I, all of those indexes we would be able to iterate, right? So now what we would be doing is int j should be this number, let's say this is k, either if k lies in this range, let's say this is one possibility, and if I into I crosses this bound, right, let's say I into I cross this bound, then we need to, what we need to do, we don't need to do anything, right? If I into I cross this index, then we don't need to do anything. So what we should be doing, let's say if it is I into I, and if I into I lies here, something like here, then we need to start from I into I, right? So we should be choosing maximum of these two numbers. So we should be starting j from max of k comma I into I, and then we would be incrementing this, and j plus equal to I, and then we would be marking sieve of k, and the k value is placed at which index, k minus L, right? You this is just the number which this is just k, sorry, j, and then and let's say it's L, then sieve of which is saved at sieve of 0. So let's say b sieve of k minus L is the index, k minus L is the index which will be storing k, right? And then we should be marking this as false. So in order of it's a little tough to go the time complexity because there would be multiple conditions max and all, but yeah, let's say in order of around root r log r or something, we would be able to find this segmented values. So let's say there is a range L minus R which are not too separated, their distance estimates could be this, but they itself could be used. So in those cases we can use this concept where it is kind of shifting. So let's say let's say if L is a prime number, if I is a prime number or not, that is stored at sieve of I minus L. So let's say sieve of, if I is L, then let's say it would be stored at sieve of 0. So let's say this first index stores L, second index stores L plus 1 up to last index is R. So I hope it is clear like how we are like we are kind of shifting our coordinates. So let's say now sieve of I is not representing if I is a prime number or not, right? Sieve of I represents if I plus L is a prime number or not, right? This is kind of coordinate shifting. We have, let's say C of I is not representing is prime of I, it's representing I plus is prime of I, is prime of I plus L. So that was it about segmented sieve.